All right, so this is kind of free form, you know, mainly just asking each other questions, pulling prompts where you feel it's necessary, and conversing about it and sharing what knowledge we got. That, I guess, to kick it off, let's talk about building a game, getting started with the process of getting a campaign ready, or getting characters together. Like, let's start with tips for session zeros, which I'll just start off by saying, like, they're really important.
Gotta do them.
They're not like absolutely necessary if you already have a group that you gel with, but if you can, I highly recommend it, because even if you do, it's a really great experience and opportunity to, one, make sure everyone's on the same page, to make sure the themes are conveyed properly, everyone knows the expectations and the lines and veils of who's comfortable with what at the table. What do you guys love, and what do you particularly recommend when it comes to session zeros?
Oh man, I think for me, especially if you're playing with a table that you already know, I like it as just like a tone check-in, especially if you're coming off of like, this is a group and we play a bunch of things together. I love the just sort of affirmation of tone before you start a new kind of story. And that way you're not kind of hitting the same beats that you did before, and everyone has a chance to sort of decide to make a new choice for a new game and a new story that I think is really, it's a little amuse-bouche before your new game to like get the old flavor out. And so that's my favorite thing, other than like establishing lines and veils. Like I love safety tools. I love having like little check-in things and X cards and stuff on the table. That's my jam, but yeah.
Which, for those who don't know about that or are uncertain about what safety tools are referring to, you can search online for tabletop RPG safety tools.
Google it.
Lines and veils in Google, and there are many great breakdowns put out by a number of great people in the community that outline exactly what these tools are for and how to easily incorporate them.
Yeah.
Brennan, what you got, bud?
For session zero, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, for session zero.
Take a minute. Take a minute.
I'm sorry. We're just being so serious. I mean, we're having a great time.
I've never had it.
Can we just say what happened, which is that you opened up the world of Exandria, the greatest fantasy world of all time, and we got to come and do stories in it?
Matt, I don't like high fantasy. This is my favorite world. Yeah, this is dope and cool, and thanks for letting us come and play in it. That was really nice.
It was all an accident. This world wasn't meant to happen. It just kind of happened on accident, and then it kept growing like the Blob. And then a great movie if you haven't seen it, depending on which one you watch. And then better people came in to help me expand it even further. So I'm happy.
Slander, fucking lies.
I'm very, very happy. I'm very excited and very grateful.
It's very. I love hearing you say like it's an. It's just, it made me think of the fucking cursing. Made me think.
It's allowed here.
Okay, balls.
So many cusses on the show.
I know, but it made me think of the gag inside joke, the James Lipton questionnaire of like, when you die and you meet God at the pearly gates. Because as the creator of Exandria, the idea of getting to the pearly gates and meeting God and being like, and him being like, listen, I'm gonna level with you. I got no idea what the fuck is going on. I got no clue what's, help, get in here. Is weirdly spiritually affirming to me. Session zero.
Yes.
Session.
How about setting the tone? Now we've properly set the tone for this.
Yes.
So, yes.
The Exandria GM roundtable, semicolon, the illusion of control.
Yes.
Ooh, that's real as hell, actually. Yeah.
I love it.
Shout out to Amy Carrero.
I don't know which of the 6 D20 core casts to even say. It's all of them. It's really all of them.
All of the above.
All the above. So I guess what I would say with session zero is, there's a great quote by, I don't know if it's like Voltaire or someone, but the thing about like, I apologize for not writing you a short letter. I didn't have time to write you a short letter, so I had to write you a long one.
Yes.
Right? And that idea about the time it takes to make something short. So I really, at Dimension 20, because it's so short in the anthology pieces, our longest seasons are 20 episodes. Yeah. Session zeros are critical. They're critical, right? Because there's an element of, we were recording this on a day where we also randomly did the Twitter spaces for Calamity earlier today, where people were talking about like, player agency versus railroading, right? Which is interesting, right? Because I think that is a false dichotomy.
Yeah.
Because people, all ways your players will do things that you don't expect. However, the way you get around the fact that a shorter campaign, especially one with pre-built sets, especially one that needs to hit certain things at certain times, it doesn't have a lot of freedom to it. The way, for anyone out there running a one-shot or doing something like that, let's say you want to run something in Taldore, and you know that there's a set limit of time on it. I used to run a game at a summer camp where it's like, hey, August 28th, this has got to be over. Everyone's going back to different states. The way you handle that and put that together, right, is essentially that you need rails, but it does suck for those rails to come from the Dungeon Master. So what you can do in a session 0 is do really definitive, deep character development and go, who are these characters? Which is, I think, a big part of doing planning as a Dungeon Master is, at least for me, what I use session 0s for is like, look, I have a small amount of time to get this done. I need to know everything about you because that's what the rails are going to be. The rails are going to be who you tell me you are.
Yeah.
So that way you grant this full degree of player agency and give yourself the ability to create rails that were designed by the players, right?
Yeah.
Which is really, that's the best of both worlds. That's having your cake and eating it too. People want to feel like their character. People want to go like, the idea, I just introduced an old friend to D&D for the first time. This guy I knew only through comedy in New York. He played D&D for the first time this last weekend and is fully hooked.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, it's like living in a movie. And I think that that's something we forget sometimes is that we want the feeling of living in a movie. And when you're navigating failure, as long as you make it feel like the appropriate story beat, you can do this stuff and the failures all become integral to the character's journey.
Yeah.
So you only get in trouble, and I think players only ever feel disempowered when it starts to be that like, oh, you swing, you miss, you're humiliated, you fucked up.
Yeah. But like if you swing and miss, last night we did a Dungeon of Doom for Dwarven Forge, and this halfling is running up to attack his buddy, managed to stop, but he's a halfling, and the guy is like this tall blue guy, and if my people roll a 1 when they attack, they do damage to themselves. So I was like, okay, you have your spiritual weapon on the other side of the room. How did you do damage to yourself? He's like, well, I take a giant step forward to gather my weapon, and he walks balls first. And I was like, that wasn't me. He did that to himself, and everybody loved it because he knew it wasn't going to kill him, but he could push it that far. I thought that was really great.
That's awesome. And then, allowing people to manage their own failures is really critical. And giving people last words if their character is dying, giving them a moment of agency over how badly they fucked up.
Oh, there's far worse things than death. I like to
What an ominous
maim.
thing to say. I love it.
Yes, now you want to be as a dungeon master. Well, that's the thing, is like you're playing a game and you're playing superheroes, essentially. Your characters are larger than life. Even at level 1, they're still above normal, people. So like empower them, make them. Here's the thing. The Dungeon Master's Guide is a guide. You as a dungeon master say what comes and goes. So everything in it is like, okay, start here, but if the situation comes up that you need to start bending the rules a little bit, do it.
I love that. And that goes to a theme that we wanted to cover as well here, which is acceptance, and the idea of accepting a huge spectrum of play styles, how the game is played. These books go out, and the game needs a dungeon master for a reason, which is the idea that a human being is accountable for running this experience at every single table where the game is played. And I think that it's really special, and it means that the game has this incredible flexibility that surpasses sort of anything else we can do, because it's always being retranslated and re-understood from era to era.
That's why it's called the guide and not the rules.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's in the first couple pages. It's like, these are suggestions to play your game.
Yeah.
People skip over those first couple pages.
It's really critical. No, it's really important. And in terms of like the age we find ourselves in now, I think it's awesome that we have all these different streams that are showing you different play styles, different house rules, and you see the incredible versatility and flexibility of the game. Like you were mentioning, like bylaws, and there's like a couple streams you were mentioning.
Bylaws and Order.
Bylaws and Order, which is like all about guilds and bureaucrats. Sirens is an all bard game, which is really fun. And then Dimension 20. being under the banner of college humor and Dropout has this element of comedy to it, where even the rules themselves are infused with a certain degree of understanding. If a thing is funny, it's going to become more likely to
that
succeed.
wins.
Yeah, exactly. Funny wins, right? What do you attribute this plethora of acceptance of these different play styles to?
Well, I think it's people weren't very accepting, right? But because people are now able to see different play styles, now acceptance is more something that we need to focus on, because everyone looks at Dungeons and Dragons like, this is my game. I play it right, and my way is the way, especially Dungeon Masters. This is how we do it, and this is how it should be done. But then you have all these streams, and the streams say, also this way, also this way. So now you have players who are watching all these streams, and they're like, oh, but I want to play that story. I want to play with these kind of heavy rules. I want the number crunch. I want the heavy role play. I want the comedy. So I think it's really important for people who are not live streaming to see those and figure out what they want. So I run a lot of games off camera for my Patreon. And the first thing I say is, what do you guys want to play? Because I'm malleable. I just want to be able to facilitate something for them. But if you have 5 people who want to play one kind of game, maybe they want to play a silly game. And then there's one person who wants to play something that's really heavy and very literal. Like, you need to be able to communicate that, and everyone needs to start accepting what each other wants, because at the end of the day, somebody's going to be upset.
Yeah.
And everyone needs to be able to communicate what they want, what they don't want, so that that person can go find a group that they do want, and then that opens a space for maybe somebody who's in another group who wants to be in that group to play.
It's really interesting, and we've had questions on the podcast before that amount to this reality, which is that this game can serve multiple needs, and as such, you need that level of communication between you and your players. You know, I've gotten questions sometimes because I have a play style that, again, is very focused on RP, is very focused on like adhering to like tone and mood and theme, and let's go to this world where things feel like this, very RP heavy. So sometimes I'll get questions that will assume like, cool, so I'm another RP guy. RP is the correct way to play. That being said, and I always have to go, well, no.
This is what the present moment is.
Yeah, and if there are players out there who love that heavy crunch, go for it. And I'm also to me, all the different facets of the game, like I love that you mentioned being malleable, because to me, if someone goes like, hey, we're going to do low RP, this is going to be a crawl, and it's about we're going to be very literal with the rules, I can find a way to have fun doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just designed this character for a game that a friend of mine is running that is like a gunslinger rogue, and aside from RP, I was like, oh, this guy can put out, what, like 200 damage in his first turn of combat? Hell yeah. And so there is like, finding a way to be gratified by that only opens up more avenues of fun.
Absolutely. And so last night's game was one of my first dungeon crawls. Well, one of my first. Yeah, actually, it was one of my first, because everything I do is very dreamy.
Yeah.
And what I liked was each character, and they'd never played before. There were 2 sirens and 2 other players. And they all attached 2 items to their character, and that was like 2 historical things about their character, and they got to place it in. So, you know, you had one character who, when he was fighting this big snake creature, he had flashbacks from the war, and then he role-played it on his own. He rolled. He's like, okay, I'm going to roll, and this is going to be if I have a flashback. And then he's a dungeon master. I would like to, like, I didn't know he was rolling for it.
Yeah.
He was doing that on his own.
That's awesome.
And so the other players took care of him while that was happening. And so each one of them brought something like that into a dungeon crawl.
That's beautiful. And that's really special. That's like, yeah, we had, I love that. That's such a good tip for players and DMs alike to introduce those things, because one thing that's really great about playing with comedians who even haven't played D&D before is that comedians have an inherent understanding of how empowering it is to struggle. Like, comedy is so much about like, I'm slipping and falling in pie, like, oh, banana peel. Like, there's a love of failure in comedy, right?
Yeah.
And building those things into the character can be so gratifying. You know, in the first season of Fantasy High, which was the first season of Dimension 20, Siobhan's character, Adine, who's this elven wizard, she was basically like, I would like my character to struggle with anxiety and to have an actual anxiety condition within the game. And, you know, we designed the condition together and kind of talked about it a little bit. And it was awesome. And, you know, a person that's playing solely for the sake of optimization would be like, why would you include this element which can really only serve to stymie your character in a critical moment? And it was like, because it's deeply meaningful to the character and to, you know, like it's because that is human.
Well, they have the traits. Right.
Yeah.
So when you're making your character, I love D&D Beyond because it makes it like you're playing a video game, which is my favorite part of video games, character creation.
Oh, the sliders. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I want to make your eyes little like this. But they have the traits. So there's things that are like your ideals and all these positive things, and then they have flaws. So I learned from one of my friends who would give you bonuses the more flaws you took.
That's awesome.
And I learned from that. And also it's basic storytelling.
Yeah.
Right? You got your threshold guardian that gives you the challenges and you overcome those challenges and maybe you get a scar or a limp or whatever, but then you overcome that. And that's just beautiful storytelling. And I don't think that it's just for dungeon masters to know. I think it's really good for like players to know and for players to teach each other also.
Oh, I think that's beautiful. Yeah, like if you're a DM and you're like skipping over that bonds, ideals, flaws section, I would say if you have a group of players that you really trust to, you know, characterize their characters, that's one thing. But it's such a great thing the game's provided to key people into the role-playing aspect. And I've been doing this for basically my whole conscious life, and the degree to which the mechanical parts of the game, like that little bonds and ideals thing, or even like abilities, can give you still insight into character.
And backgrounds.
Yeah. So I play my friend Nick Marini, who's a contestant on Actually, runs a White Wolf Chronicle, runs a World of Darkness Chronicle.
Cool.
Also love it. And I made this vampire character who's this like, you know, Giovanni vampire. And there's flaws there where you get some extra freebie points in character creation. Similar mechanical thing of you take flaws, you get to spend more points elsewhere. And I hadn't like cracked the character yet for myself. So I took this flaw, just I thought it was cool, of like, oh, this vampire is going to be afraid of crucifixes and clergy that are in their clerical stuff.
That's cool.
Very fun. And I was like, in the very first session, I was just role playing, and one of those great moments of discovering a character in the actual role play, where someone said something, he reacted to a crucifix, and the character just went like, I'm very Catholic, I'm still very in that. And it's like, oh, what does it mean to be a vampire who still believes in God? And then all of a sudden, this one little mechanical detail,
that's so cool.
a little rule, and it was like, and it was funny too, because the vampire needed a reason to side with these mages and werewolves, and it was like, oh, all of vampire society doesn't seem to care about religion or have an active way to worship and be a person of faith. So this vampire is like, I can't exist in vampire society because I have this.
Oh, wow.
And it was this one thing of a snowball effect of one little character sheet choice goes and snowballs into a full three-dimensional.
So I have something for that. One of the things I've learned in the last year is this is going to sound really weird. I don't trust players the first time they play with their character. And I tell them, I'm like, look, after the second session, we'll revisit your character because I got a feeling you're going to want to change some things. You're going to want to change your weapons. You're going to want to change maybe your whole class or your background because it's going to feel a little different. I mean, you're lucky if you don't and you just are committed to that character. But I see it so often where they're like, actually, can I do this thing? I don't want this spell. I don't like this. And I'm like, okay, you got 2 sessions to play it. If you want to change it after that, we're not going to. But, you know,
that is the best piece of advice I've ever heard. I literally I like sighed so deeply when you said that. No, for real. Because it is, well, there's this attitude. Because the nature of D&D is collaborative storytelling, and the inherent thrill of it is, I'm going to improvise stuff, and once I've improvised it, the story's going to move on. You know what I mean? And that's part of the thrill of the game. But that being said, keeping it a little volcanic and chimeric up in that first 2 sessions is so useful because, and this is a balance that every DM has to balance, which is complete respect for players and their autonomy and agency. And also an adult awareness that sometimes people that are new at a thing won't know how to make themselves have a good time.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to do this of going like, hey, I respect you and your choices, but also this is a new thing. You might make a choice that you later regret just from a lack of familiarity. I want to point out like how we're doing this, which is taking some things as given, in this case, information given to us by a random table, and then just asking ourselves, what makes this make sense?
Yes, yeah. You're it's any writing prompt is useful because it gives you limitations, and that's all this is. It's a writing prompt. Like you have to create a character that these two things are true, and then the way that you justify it is if these two things are true, what else is true?
Right, and I think that there's something too, which is we're doing this randomly to show you guys how you can take truly anything and make a fun story out of it. But even if you pick these, I think the same process still applies.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you go like, I'm
just
gonna,
because elves are wizards, so I'm gonna be an elf wizard, so because elves are wizards.
and I think
But like, why?
Why? And also, what is it? I think asking the question, what does it mean to be an elven wizard?
Right.
What does it mean to be someone who has truly not strayed from the path?
I'm following. My dad did this, and his dad did this, and we're just gonna. I am a very lowercase c conservative person. I'm just this is how you live your life, and I'm doing it.
I always wanted. There's another character I wanted to play that I've been batting around in my head for a while, which would be an Aasimar Divine Soul sorcerer with like a max charisma, and just play like the hyper bubble person. Because I think so many heroes do have a tragic backstory.
Yes.
Playing someone who is like, I'm from
just
a,
like really hot and like really rich and had a really good life.
Yeah, like I'm from a line of angel sorcerers. We live in a tower. We go out and fight evil because we are uniquely gifted to be able to do that. My parents are super good. They're both alive. They told me that I should grow up and be a hero. That sounded chill to me.
They love me very much. They love each other very much, not in a weird kinky way, just like really like open and kind.
They made me very aware that because of all of this privilege, I was probably going to be a douchebag if I wasn't careful. So I try to be very humble, but I also am here to help. Let me know.
Yeah, it's
if
the Antony from Queer Eye of characters.
It's like, I do have the blood of angels in my veins. I am here to solve your problems.
And I'll make you some guacamole.
I make a dope guacamole, yeah. And again, modules are great. Check them out if you want to buy a pre-made adventure, because that's going to make you feel more confident. Awesome. So when I was like 12 years old, right, I was sort of on the basis of like really designing my first own campaign world. I already sort of had, but this was like me testing the waters of like, ooh, maybe to be a real D&D nerd, I should buy a module and run one. So I got Axe of the Dwarvish Lords. Ooh. This is like a 220-page adventure. It's thick, like source book, not hardcover, still paperback, but like a thick adventure module for like 12th level characters. And it's this huge fucking dungeon that's like thick and hefty. And I like hand traced all the maps and did all this stuff.
Tracing paper out?
Broke the tracing paper out.
My man.
Memorized these stat blocks, which by the way, I don't know if you guys know this. Anyone who plays 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, the bullets you dodged at not playing 2nd edition, you don't have to know what THAC0 is. It used to be this thing that your attack roll was based on your THAC0, which was a number called to hit armor class 0.
That's what THAC0 stands
for. So you didn't have a bonus to an attack roll.
Okay.
You had a number that if you rolled it or higher meant you hit an armor class of 0. And if the person's AC was different than 0, you had to do the math in your head and figure out whether you were adding or subtracting. So the numbers were weird inverse mirrors of each other. It was bad. It was bad.
As someone who I haven't been playing, Brennen makes me sound like I do play a lot of D&D now, but I wasn't playing so long ago. That and you often talk about how easy 5e is and how easy it is to jump into. That's like, I feel like the first tidbit you've ever given me though as to why the paths you walked so that we could be where we are today.
Well, like all credit to Mike Merles. Look, like the renaissance we're in with D&D right now is credited due to, number one, extremely popular, awesome things that are D&D actual play content, like Critical Role, like the Adventure Zone, like our boy Murph's and Emily and
Not another D&D podcast.
Got to shout it out. But that's a great example. Is that Murph is someone that I was his first DM like 2.5-3 years ago, something like that. I think literally like between 2 and 3 years ago. And Murph is a great fucking DM, one of the most proficient DMs out there. He's got a fucking podcast that's like huge. So if you're feeling intimidated, like, sometimes I'll see people be like, well, of course that person's a great DM. They've been DMing for 20 years. You don't need to DM for 20 years to be a great DM. You can start and be a great DM right away if you make the focus of what you're doing your players' enjoyment at the table. In any case.
Can we go back to Thaco, though? I am very interested in why you're creased.
So here's why I got so creased. I get Axe of the Dwarvish Lords, right? Huge adventure, big-ass dungeon, evil wizard. I'm like, cool, this is a published D&D adventure. Let's do it. I get my 4 players at the table. They all make a bunch of Dwarven PCs.
Oh, hell yes.
Very exciting. My brother makes this like Dwarven paladin lady who's like a very cool, avenging Dwarven paladin. The setting dictates that the first event these characters go to is in a dwarven settlement where a marriage is going underway, and as a little bit of like flavor, it's an older dwarven guild elder marrying this younger dwarven like princess, and the princess is like not super hyped about the wedding.
Okay.
And it's like, but then the wedding is attacked by the evil wizard Bombeldo or whatever the guy's fucking name is, and what ends up happening is I start to narrate this wedding, literally just to set the scene of the PCs doing like a little bit of role playing before the adventure starts. Well, check it out. I narrate, someone rolls some like, insight check or whatever it was in second edition back then, roll some, wisdom-based check about the Dwarven princess. I go, yeah, she's not super hyped about the wedding. Guess what my PCs do? They fucking clock the groom over the back of the head, kidnap the princess, and they're like, we're not going to watch you get married to this person you don't like.
Wow.
And so I go, are you sure you don't want to, are you sure you don't want to stay? And they go, no, we're kidnapping the bride and we're getting her the fuck out of here. And so the adventure becomes the Dwarven Militia chasing down these kidnappers. And of course, I'm like, they're immediately having the most fun in the world. They've kidnapped this princess. And then I just start role-playing this princess as being like, yeah, thank you. This was a bad situation to be in. So in other words, weeks and weeks and weeks of my life, and 95% of this book are gone in the first...
You wasted a ton of tracing paper.
God, the amount of tracing paper, I could have done so many Pokemon, so many Digimon.
So many Pokemon, dude. You could have used those for shrinky dinks. You could have put it to good use. Instead, it all became nothing. Bombeldo
showed up to literally an empty... He's like, I have come to kidnap the princess. Guess what, dog? She's gone. She's fully gone. Help us find her.
Oh, that would, just reverse again there. Bombeldo, nobody is coming after Bombeldo. Bombeldo is coming after you.
I have come to snatch your princess. Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, my God. The groom's unconscious. Yeah, I guess let's get on this. I have a whole dungeon full of monsters. Well, can these monsters chase dwarves in a stolen wagon? No. It's a bunch of rust monsters and Otayugs underneath this bullshit. Yeah, well, fuck you. We can't use your help.
Okay.
It was so that was a very it feels like a villainous origin story of like that one time I got burned that badly. Completely ruined modules for me and made me go, I want to homebrew my own settings as much as possible, with exception, like some settings are so fucking dope that like Planescape rules. It's a very cool setting. But I want to homebrew my own settings, and I specifically want to design my own adventures because you cannot escape the degree to which the game is about the PCs. Yeah. I don't even really like to hear that dungeon masters are storytellers. They're not, because the story has to be predicated on the dreams and hopes and desires and actions of the player characters, right? So if their choices are not what's driving the story forward, that's a problem. Now, obviously, their choices occur in a world you've created, and you need to create villains and plot hooks and stuff like that for them to react to. But the idea that you can really have this adventure and not make it perfectly like a glove fit to the characters you've made is a little crazy. No one would ever watch a movie where the plot is totally divorced from the backstory of the main characters. But in a weird way, that's kind of what modules do if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Is they go like, oh yeah, there's some heroes, whoever they are, who gives a fuck. The main thing is they go into this dungeon and do these things.
Yeah.
I think that even if you're using a module, you should go through and realign stuff to tie into your PC's backstory, or to look at your PCs and say, their motivations need to tie into the core themes and plot of whatever this adventure is.
Yeah. Because all it takes is one moment of them like moving from their core or the core of their character instead of along the lines that were carefully drawn for them that, like, I don't know, to unseat everything.
100%. Well, you know, like the thing, and I'll say this because I don't think this is a spoiler for season 1 of Fantasy High, the plot with the missing girls at Eggfort was something I created. The setting was created beforehand. I created the setting so that you 6 guys could make your characters. But the whole plot with the missing girls at Eggfort was created for Murph's character.
Wow. I've never heard this before.
Really?
You've never told me that there. I had no idea. You tell me nobody was trapped in any. There were
Crystals?
no girls trapped in any crystals before Rizgek was created.
No, that was created because if one of your characters at the table says, "I want to play a teen sleuth," and you don't give them a mystery, you're an asshole.
Wow.
Like if you're like, "Cool, you're a detective. I didn't plan it for a mystery in my setting, so you can jerk off. I guess you can like do whatever you want." Like you have to put, as a DM, I think you have to put things into the setting that allow people to realize the fullness of the character arc that they envision for themselves. That doesn't mean that you're not also involving your story themes you want to include.
Yeah.
You know, like you're one of several players at the table. You should be having a fun time as well.
Yeah.
But your job is, I think, creating these moments where people get to go, oh, my character became the person I wanted them to be in this moment.
Yeah.
This one's from The Bard. Thank you, The Bard.
Wow.
My experience as a player has overwhelmingly been theater of the mind, but after watching D20, I was shocked by how incredibly engaging the use of miniatures can be. In getting back into DMing, I've been toying with the idea of using, well, toys for miniatures and set pieces. Is this something that can take away from the player's experience of the game or lessen the depth of my world building? Mechanically, my biggest issue that I keep running into is a set scale for everything. Thanks.
Well, I think that using toys is fine, and if people have a problem with it, they're the asshole.
Yes, I agree.
Because I think that the reason that you're using it is still theater of the mind. It's just a more concrete theater of the mind.
Absolutely.
The only thing with scale is, the only thing that I feel like that's important with scale really is the grid.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a minis-based thing, you don't have to worry too much about, because it's just this is a suggestion of this character.
I think you need a grid. I think or if you don't have a grid, you need like a measured length of yarn, something to like give you distance. Look, I've talked about this before, but I think that there's a funny thing where some people are like, we just want to be chill. We want to be laid back. We're not going to do minis and a whole battle grid because we want to be relaxed. Let me break it down for you. Nothing is less relaxing than 6 players looking at you going, wait, how far away is this guy?
60 feet away, because the spell is 60 feet.
The spell is 60 feet. So can I hit them? Can I not hit them? Because they hit them with their bow and they're on the platform, but how tall is the platform?
And that's especially true, I feel like, if you have a battle with a lot of enemies. Like, if you just have one guy that you're fighting, I think theater of the mind is great. But if you have 100... where are these guys?
And just for story flavor, I love huge battles. We played a battle yesterday in my home game.
Yes.
Where you guys fought like 20 super gnolls all at the same time.
And we were on like bridges and there was water and...
You were in like a Roman sewer beneath this sort of Venetian palazzo fighting these armored gnoll enforcers. And listen, Rick Perry does not come build the sets for my home games.
Selfish of him not to do that, but
Rick,
he doesn't.
Why don't you come build the sets for my home game,
together,
dude? But I think the issue there is we look for so it's just dry erase marker on a battle grid with tokens. I use little Othello pieces so I can write how much damage they're taking on them. And it's very fun. And really, it's not about, listen, Dimension 20 has a Rick Perry and his team are magicians.
It's insane what they do.
And it transports you in this beautiful way. But even if you can't have that level of production, it is just a helpful tool for dealing with stress.
Yes.
To have toys and markers on a board so you know where shit is.
And especially if you're a Magic user, because it's already very stressful being a Magic user. Very stressful. Who cares? We're playing a game. But it's like more work. And so many of the spells are distance-based that it makes it a lot easier.
The Bard, use toys. Your players will not mind.
I feel like an early thing that I see in improvisers that I love is, especially because I did a lot of improv jams when I was coming up, because I was like every week.
Experience possible.
Any experience possible. I was bartending. I was broke as a joke. I was missing teeth. Things were not going great. And I would, my 8-minute set with 12 people on stage at the UCB, at the Lower East Side, the UCB East, I looked forward to it all week. It was the highlight of my week, every week. And there would be people that straight up didn't even know this was a theater, that just wandered off the true crackpots. And I would, the thing I realized that all the people I loved would do is when someone came out that clearly was an agent of chaos, that only had dreams of destruction, the best people would jump on and immediately affirm that. That actually the ideas that need your support the most are the ones that have no chance of success. Like,
I'm gonna initiate the worst scene intro I can think of, and I just want you to give me a second line.
I'll give you a second line, yeah.
Let me think. Okay. Robin's egg. They're everywhere.
I got you, Turtle Dove. They are everywhere.
Pretty good. Already pretty good.
Already pretty good. I want to be supportive of you and your effort. You got a whole elf getup that had to take time.
It did. It took several hours.
I'm assuming that's why you were late.
I'm going to be honest, I was taking a nap.
You have an awesome responsibility. You are the horizontal and the vertical. You are the environment and all events. Can you make me understand how a hat did something that was rolling a 5 and a bus is gone? I can't imagine what happened.
Yeah, and we'll get into that next week.
No.
Why?
I mean, it's efficient if you think about like the production.
Stop helping! Well, that's everything. We'll see you next time.